Hi, my name is Nathan Lee, and this is my video presentation on the hormonal control of implantation and early embryonic development. So to start off, I'm going to be describing the basic mechanism of implantation. Then I'll go into detail about the different ways that implantation can be controlled hormonally. And then later in the video, I'll describe some of the steps of early embryonic development and the hormonal control of that development. So in terms of pregnancy and development, implantation refers to the stage of pregnancy at which the embryo adheres to the walls of the uterus. The walls of the uterus are also known as the endometrium. So this is the inner lining of the uterus. The endometrium is extremely vascular, and it is actually what sloughs off during menstruation. When implantation of the embryo into the uterine lining, the endometrium grows tremendously in size to provide for the embryo. So implantation is vital in the proper development of the embryo, as it is the connection between the uterine lining, so the endometrium, and the embryo is how nutrients, oxygen, and other important substances such as hormones and all that kind of stuff is transferred from the mother to the embryo. Also, it's how waste products are released from the embryo or fetus, or a future fetus, um, to the mother to be excreted. So implantation of the embryo into the uterine wall or endometrium um, occurs between 8 to 9 days after ovulation. So at about the same time, the endometrium is becoming increasingly vascularized. So arteries and blood vessels are becoming growing tremendously in the endometrium because it is going to have to provide for the needs and blood needs of the fetus and embryo. So at about the same time this occurs, um, progesterone levels are increased as well. Progesterone is a steroid hormone that is involved in many biological mechanisms in the human body, but most importantly, it causes changes in the uterus that increase vascularization and growth of the embryo. It also causes changes in the uterus that increase receptivity to implantation. So some of what I read said that progesterone is important in growing the endometrium, so the free-floating embryo in the uterus has a higher chance of um, implanting into the uterus because once it makes contact with the endometrium, then it will be implanted. So if the endometrium is growing tremendously, then there's more of a chance that it's going to come into contact. Um, in a non-pregnant woman, a decrease in progesterone levels causes menstruation. So if fertilization does not occur and implantation does not occur, progesterone levels fall off, and that increase in endometrial vascularization is what sloughs off during menstruation due to a decrease in progesterone. So another important hormone that works alongside progesterone is estradiol. I think I'm saying that right. It's a form of the estrogen hormone. Estradiol is involved in the development of the secondary sex characteristics in females, and is also vital in the growth and maturation of the endometrium and the uterine lining during implantation and after, during embryonic development. Estradiol levels actually increase pretty evenly throughout pregnancy and then drop off before pregnancy. So along with that, one of the most important hormones um, in the regulation during implantation and development of the embryo in fetus is known as human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG. Human chorionic gonadotropin stimulates the majority of the hormones needed to grow a baby, basically. It's involved with endometrial growth, early embryonic development, as well as later gestational development. HCG testing is also known as pregnancy testing. So HCG tests are what can be bought at the store. They're known as pregnancy tests, and it's also what they're tested for in urine samples in a clinical setting. So when I was working as an emergency department technician, I actually tested for this, um, and you put 2 dabs of urine on the testing thing, um, and then wait 5 minutes, and then if it's positive, there'll be a line. If it's negative, there won't be a line. And the line means that there is HCG in the urine, and that will mean that it's a positive pregnancy test. So next, I'm going to be getting into more about the embryonic development. Um, so when fertilization occurs, the embryo that forms is actually called a zygote, which means a fertilized egg, so egg plus sperm. The cleavage or replication in zygotic cells occurs at 2 days old and continues until 6 to 7 days old. At that time, at 6 to 7 days, the embryo is now called a blastocyst or blastula. A blastocyst is a hollow ball of cells and is actually what is implanted into the endometrial lining um, during the process of implantation. So at 11 days, so it's already been implanted into the uterine wall. The blastocyst begins showing layers in the hollow ball. These are known as the beginnings of the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm, which form the body's main compartments: the muscles, the intestines, skin, nervous system, all that sort of stuff. So after the layers are able to be seen in the hollow ball of cells at 11 days, at 16 days, a process known as gastrulation occurs, where the hollow ball starts moving inward, creating different compartments in the hollow part of the ball, I guess. The different compartments will make up the fetus or protect and supply the fetus. So one compartment will become the actual baby, and the other compartments will be the yolk sac, the amniotic sac, that sort of thing, the placenta. Um, Embryonic development is an extremely delicate and detailed process. Many different hormones are involved in the proper growth and development of the embryo and the fetus. Like I said earlier in this video, human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, is definitely the most important hormone in the development of the embryo and fetus. It increases vascularity of the endometrium, like I've already stated, but it also aims to help the embryo grow into a fetus and then the fetus to be born. So in this video, I explained the stages of implantation, the stages of embryonic development, and the importance of the different hormones, progesterone, estradiol, and human chorionic gonadotropin that regulate the stages of implantation and embryonic development. Thank you for watching, and here are my references.